Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers.
And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 16, Episode 21. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Thanks for being back with us this Monday, Steelers Nation. This Victory Monday, coming off the first week one of the Steelers season. A thrilling and unexpected in many ways 34-32 win over the New York Jets. Pittsburgh 1-0 on the season. Aaron Rodgers, 4 touchdowns. Defense underwhelming, but made plays when it counted, and Chris Boswell continues to be the best kicker in the NFL. Dave, so much to talk about, so much to react to. What do you say? React to me? That is what I feel like I want to hear from you today. How you doing, Dave?
I've got a feeling the Steelers are going to the Super Bowl. No. No. Happy Monday, Alex. I hope you got a couple of winks of sleep there. I think you kind of set it up pretty good there. 34-32. First reaction is I know Aaron Rodgers enjoyed the you know what out of that. Beating his former team, and we'll go over probably at some point some of his post game comments and all like that. Look, it's a great day to be alive, right? The Steelers are 1-0. The Ravens, what a game that was Sunday night. Ravens and the Bills. The Ravens ended up blowing a big lead in that. They lost. The Browns lost to the Bengals yesterday, and they escape from New York is what I think we will call this one.
For sure, and not mad about this weekend overall. Pittsburgh 1-0 and tied for the division lead with the Bengals, as you said, the Browns and the Ravens in that crazy game. We'll talk about that later in the show. Dave, we'll do some housekeeping in a moment, presented by our sponsors and friends at Touring Plans, but just overall 30,000-foot view, cliff notes of this game. What were your thoughts and impressions and takeaways?
I think overarching thoughts, I think Mike Tomlin said as much during his press conference. Good to see the new guys contributing. Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Ramsey, Kenneth Gainwell, big play in this game. DK Metcalf, a couple of catches and some yak in this one. I think that's my first thoughts is the new guys came through in this game for the Steelers. I thought Aaron Rodgers, for the most part, look, sacked 4 times in this game. You never like to see that. You don't like to see him take the number of hits that he had to take in this game. But I thought he played well. I thought Arthur Smith really was in his bag. I thought Aaron Rodgers really meshed with what a lot of the things that we know that Arthur Smith likes to do. Steelers couldn't run the football for crap, and they were able to overcome that. I don't know how many times they'll be able to get away with that, but they were able to do that. They were able to put the ball in the end zone numerous times. Boswell was just Boswell, 60-yard kick. Geez, career long for him. I think that's offensive side football. Calvin Austin, a great contested catch in this game. Pat Freiermuth, a couple of nice contested catches that he had in this game. Defensive side of football. They got to get better in the trenches on both sides, period. Defense was pushed around in the running game. It just felt like the Jets were running downhill a lot. I thought Justin Fields played well for the Jets. I thought he made a couple of really nice tight window throws, specifically on third downs and in the first half at that extended some drives there. And the Steelers just couldn't, unfortunately. They got the stops, obviously, when they had to, and what a big play late in the game by Jalen Ramsey to separate Garrett Wilson from the football. That's a lot of 30,000 foot stuff, but those are just kind of the initial thoughts to roll off my top of my head here.
You took me up the mountain on that 30,000-foot view, but echo those thoughts offensively and just overall this game, not how you drew it up at week one is weird in so many ways. This game, proof of that. Aaron Rodgers really having to carry this team, not sustainable, but shows that he still is capable of that, at least in short moments of time. Defensively, as you said, Pittsburgh not physical enough. The Jets imposing their role, setting the tone. Pittsburgh not having the answers throughout, but at least made the timely defensive plays on those final two drives. And I think you summed up the big point, the newcomers making their impression known and paying immediate dividends on their offseason acquisitions. Rodgers, Metcalf, Gainwell, Ramsey, all having impacts in this game. So we'll get into the game a little bit more in just 1 second. Before we do that, though, our housekeeping portion of every Monday presented by Touring Plans, our sponsor of training camp, and now our Monday podcast housekeeping. Great website if you're planning a trip to Disney and want reviews on restaurants, how to save money on tickets, just an overall itinerary of how to prepare and plan for what can be a busy and chaotic time. Don't do it solo. Have a good partner in touringplans.com, our sponsor for training camp. Lentesta, a great friend of the show. And so check out their website, touringplans.com. Dave, let's get into the housekeeping of this game from an injury standpoint. Pittsburgh suffering multiple of them in game. Don't know severities right now. Deshaun Elliott, Malik Harrison, Joey Porter Jr. all exited this game. Elliott with a knee, got that knee kind of twisted up on one of the tackle attempts that he had. Porter with a hamstring, per Mike Tomlin, seems less serious. Tomlin said it tightened up. They didn't want to risk it getting any worse. And Harrison, a left knee. I saw him post-game. There was ice on his knee. He was walking around at least, so that's a moderately positive sign. So am I missing anything from the health standpoint of this team? Nick Herbig did not play due to a hamstring injury. And of course, Derek Carmen sat out as well with the MCL sprain he suffered in the preseason.
Yeah, I got a good look at that Elliott knee injury last night on a TV tape, and then first thing this morning on the All-22, not great. And then last night, Saul went back on the TV tape and watched as he walked into the blue tent. And, man, he was kind of fidgeting with that thing from the moment he got up off the field to the time he was walking over to the blue tent. Then he put his obviously had his helmet off and then put both of his hands on his head. That's obviously not the reaction you want to see, but I don't want to overreact because we saw Derek Carmen carted off with a towel up over his head there at the end of the preseason. And, obviously it forced him to miss at least this week one game, but not season ending. So we'll just have to keep our fingers crossed there. I have not picked out where the play on Joey Porter was. And I think the Malik Harrison, didn't that come on near the goal line or whatnot?
He looks like he had gotten slowed up earlier in the game. I wonder if he tried to play through something. I'm not sure about his last snap. Porter finished out one of the drives New York had and then came off, so he tried to gut it out, and I think he was on the field goal team, and that was his last snap of the game. So probably just progressively tighten up, and then standing on the sideline, I'm sure it got worse, and they decided let's not test it and put him back in.
Yeah, so I think obviously we'll wait and see if Mike Tomlin has an update on Deshaun Elliott on Tuesday or if one creeps out later today. But I think that's the one to be the most worried about.
Steelers inactives for this game, and they also elevated not Marvin Leal. James Pierre was the elevation. Leal was not elevated, so Pierre was the only player to come from the practice squad to the active and active roster and dressed and played in this game as a special teamer. So the inactives in this one, there were 6 of them. Skylar Thompson still dressed as the emergency third quarterback. He had a hamstring injury, but was good enough to dress in that emergency capacity. Derek Carmen, Andres Pete, Max Sharping, Nick Herbig with a hamstring injury, and Asezi Otomewa was odd man out along that defensive line, in addition to Harmon being inactive. So I think the Herbig injury was kind of tough to judge. Would he play? Would he not play? And ultimately, they really even didn't play much of Malik Harrison, outside backer. They just kind of went 3 guys with a little bit of Sawyer and, of course, mostly TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, but those are your inactives.
Yeah, I kind of guessed because they didn't elevate anybody other than James Pierre. What's so good? I'm still in preseason form on my inactive predictions there. I kind of guessed that Nick Herbig would dress in this one, and obviously he did not. I thought we might see Logan Lee be inactive instead of Otomewo, and that was not the case. And I think the other one that I had in there, I guesstimated that Scotty Miller would be inactive because I thought Nick Herbig would dress there. So Logan Lee, first action, official regular season action in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform, and he played all of one defensive snap in this one. I think that was on the keeper by Justin Fields that you pointed out there for the touchdown later on in the game. I'm trying to see if Logan Lee didn't even play any special teams snaps, so they dressed Logan Lee to play that one defensive snap in the game, and I'm guessing Otomewo might be the odd man out here for a little while.
And I'm a little rusty too. I remember talking about Mike Tomlin's comments on the D-line rotation. They're going to play a lot of people. They're going to keep guys fresh. And that really wasn't the case. And I even remember remarking, yeah, whoever dresses will play and play more than one or two snaps. And Lee literally got the one snap and got smushed into the ground on that Fields naked for the touchdown. So, yeah, I got some work to do myself, but those are your inactives. We'll see the health of this team for week 2 against Seattle. As you mentioned earlier, Mike Tomlin will provide the first update Tuesday, with the first injury report coming out on Wednesday.
Right.
We also have the Cam Heyward contract. We'll talk about that later in the show. I want to get to the game, but there was finally some sort of resolution to the Heyward situation. Of course, Heyward played in this game, and so that saga is mercifully over. Chris Boswell, nothing doing on that contract, but it is well-deserved for a raise. I'd give duffel bags of money to Chris Boswell today, Dave. He earned it. But let's talk about this game. Pittsburgh winning 34-32. Aaron Rodgers, 4 touchdowns. Defense struggling, but making some of those plays late. Let's look at the offense here, Dave, and it was probably not the way Pittsburgh drew it up. The run game was non-existent. The offensive line struggled in run blocking and pass protection. Rodgers really had to turn back the clock and carry this team, but carry this team he did.
Yeah, completed 73.3% of his passes, 22 of 30 passing, 244 yards, 4 touchdowns, man. Couple of balls I know he'd probably like to get back. Unfortunately, they weren't intercepted, so no harm, no foul, I guess, when it comes to that. Dropped back, a total of non-penalties 34 times. I don't think this team wants to make a habit of getting them close to 35 dropbacks. They definitely don't want him sacked 4 times in a game going forward, overall there. But I thought we saw some elements of what Aaron Rodgers likes to do meshed in with what Arthur Smith likes to do. I thought play action, under center play action. What? I thought that really, really worked well. And I think some of the next gen stats kind of back that up as well there. Really drew up some really nice stuff in this game, especially when it came to the touchdowns to, Ben Skoranek. That was play action, had those linebackers frozen, Skoranek running free on that touchdown. The Jonnu Smith, we got officially that went in the books as kind of a pop pass, but that was well designed, and Jonnu Smith used his athleticism to get to the pylon for the touchdown there. Jaylen Warren wide open on his touchdown. That was an easy pitch and catch there. And then the Calvin Austin touchdown, a nice design on that one. So real efficient overall with this team when they got into the red zone. What were they in the red zone here?
I believe 3 of 3.
Yeah, 3 of 3, 100%. So obviously, that played a big part in the game. Not so great. They need to get a little bit better on third downs there. I thought, Aaron Rodgers overcame his offensive line. I think that's kind of, or Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers overcame the Steelers' offensive line play in this one, because I didn't think as a whole, both in the running game and the pass protection, that they did a great job in this one. I think one thing that stuck out, we talked about how many touches Kenneth Gainwell going to get, especially early on in the season, and I kind of thought that would be a little slightly elevated, maybe muted to some degree, but Kenneth Gainwell, 7 carries, unfortunately, only 19 yards, and he added in 3 more receptions. So 10 total touches for Kenneth Gainwell. Unfortunately, those only went for 23 yards. And when you consider 10 of how many offensive plays do they run? 56 or something like that. That's a lot of that's a good portion of your offense running through Kenneth Gainwell, certainly more than what I thought we would see in this one. Jaylen Warren, I thought, had a couple of nice runs in this game, albeit his long was just 9 yards, averaged 3.4 yards per carry. Caleb Johnson got just one carry in this game, -2 yards, but there was essentially there was a 15-yard penalty for hitting him out of bounds on that one. I think some of the other things that jumped out, Roman Wilson, just 10 offensive snaps in this game, did not get a target in this game. And what else jumped out overall in this one? I think those are some. I thought Pat Frymouth, he only had 3 targets, 3 receptions for 28 yards, but I thought those were some tough catches that he made in this game that kind of that don't get notated in the box score overall. But this was Aaron Rodgers, showing his former team that he could play, and he should get a lot of credit for this win.
He should. He should get the majority of the credit for his performance because they needed every bit of him in this one. Check my math and my memory. 3 of Rodgers' 4 touchdowns were off play action, correct? To Skoranek, to Austin, and to Jaylen Warren, open-handed fake. The only one that wasn't was that little jet pass to Johnny Smith. And so play action is such an integral part of the Arthur Smith system, and Rodgers utilized it very effectively in this game. Let's start, though, Dave, with the literal start of this game for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, an opening drive touchdown. It's funny how those conversations, literally, we talked about it during a live stream, middle of June, I think it was, about when was the last time Pittsburgh had a week 1 opening drive touchdown, and even just an opening drive touchdown in any game, which hadn't happened since 2023. But a week 1 opening drive touchdown had not occurred since 2008, the second longest drought in the NFL. That drought is no more. Aaron Rodgers hitting Skoranek wide open for a 22-yard touchdown. So I don't think many expected Ben Skoranek to catch the first touchdown of the season with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but kudos to you, Dave. It was not Pat Frymouth, but you called an opening drive touchdown, a streak to be broken, and the streak was finally broken on Sunday.
We manifested it. We've been how many weeks ago did we start talking about that? 5?
I think it was, no, probably more than that. It was, I don't know. It was in the offseason, I think. I don't remember. Time runs together, but I think it was in June, I'm pretty sure. So it's been 2+ months.
All right, and you noted the Aaron Rodgers stat there, completed 5 of 7 for 46 yards and 3 touchdowns on play-action passes from under center, 9 dropbacks after having thrown 3 such touchdowns all last season in 71 dropbacks per next-gen stats. So, and then, as we stated, you have to go all the way back to 2008. That was good to see that they converted. Look, things weren't going great early on. You had a DK Metcalf, one bounce off his hands, but then he kind of rebounded, and they were able to overcome and put together a nice drive on that opening possession. So
a sack too. Rodgers on his first drop back was sacked. Play action, there were a couple sacks off of that. That was the downside of play action, but at least there were some big plays off of it too.
Absolutely, good point there. So good to get that proverbial, I guess, monkey off the team's back when it comes to opening drive touchdowns. And look, once again, I thought Rodgers really played a good, efficient game. I thought play calls for the most part were fine. I mean, you obviously want to see this team execute better in the run game. I thought Aaron Rodgers made some good choices on some RPO stuff. I thought DK Metcalf didn't let that early drop get in his head because he had some very nice yak early on some shorter catches, making guys miss. We got to see what he can bring running after the catch. Obviously not a lot of deep balls down the field outside of that kind of back shoulder, if you will, to Calvin Austin, and really props to him. He's really starting to show that he can go up and contested catch some footballs in the NFL, and definitely had a big play in this game. I don't want to fast forward too far into this game, but I really thought that should have been a PI call late in the game on that attempt on third down to Calvin Austin down the left side. It wasn't, but as Aaron Rodgers said, Chris Boswell bailed him out with that 60-yarder there. So here's one of the good things when it comes, well, really both sides of the football here. You got out of there with a W with a lot of tape that will be circled in red and hopefully correctable here. But we've got to see this offense start to be able to run the football better and have to, in my opinion, have to see less of the offense really trying to go through Kenneth Gainwell.
Yeah, I don't want to be too Debbie Downer on this Monday. You're happy to get a win and work and improve while you do so in victory. But this model, as I said, top of the show, is not sustainable. You can't have Rodgers put the whole team on his back without really any sort of pass protection that's consistent and any semblance of a run game. So there's still a lot to work on, but you're happy to do enough to get the victory in week one. Really have to try to dive into why this run game was so bad. Just felt like no push up front, but I have not gotten into the all 22 to really diagnose some of those issues.
With the run game,
Yeah. Do you have any initial thoughts on why the run game faltered as much as it did?
yeah, just I mean, not sustaining blocks and a lot of penetration within there. Overall, I thought the Jets read and played down. Yeah, look, I mean that's a good front and all like that. They just didn't handle them one on one. I mean they couldn't run really inside zone, outside zone, at all. So I'm through almost the first half of the offensive all 22. So we'll probably both have some extended thoughts on this overall. I thought Mason McCormick was the team's best offensive lineman in this game, but even you know not a high bar overall. It's not like he played great because I thought he did miss a couple of blocks as well too in this one. Just it really felt clunky. It felt like they were having to convert some third and longs in situations. One interesting thing though is what I like to see is on some of these second and sevens they were throwing instead of running, and I think even yeah, I think a couple of touchdowns might even come on like a second and seven, or some of the bigger plays came on second and seven. So they've got to get this offensive line going in the right direction in both the running game and pass protection overall. Because, like you said, it doesn't feel like it's sustainable to have Aaron Rodgers do what he did in this game, sacked 4 times on top of it, and then I think he was hit maybe a total of, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 times in this game, and you just can't have that happen on a week-to-week basis. So hopefully they can start getting this running game going in a better direction, or in a way that, and look, we even said it doesn't just need to take a half a step or a step forward when it comes to this the play of the offensive line. It all essentially needs to take 2 steps forward with the pedigree that they have in that unit.
And still have to watch all 22, but Broderick Jones felt like maybe the worst defender along this offensive line. Just really had his hands full with Quentin Williams, and Will McDonald. Was a tough matchups, no question, but that's the job of a left tackle in the NFL. It does not get much easier throughout the season, facing Aiden Hutchinson and Hendrickson twice a year and Garrett twice a year and Grenard and everybody else that you're going to face, Micah Parsons, along the way. So Jones just felt like more of the same for him, which is a really discouraging initial sign.
Yeah, that clock's ticking on that 5th-year option, and it's not slowing down. So he better turn it around and get consistent to the positive side in his play real quick here.
Not that we're beholden to PFF grades. We do note them. I don't know if they had the official grade on Jones yet. I imagine they do. They didn't post it as of late last night that I saw, but I have to imagine he graded out among not just the worst Steelers offensive linemen, but maybe one of the worst linemen in terms of a tackle of the weekend.
I don't know as far as the weekend goes, but it was their initial grade show them at 54.5 with a run block grade of 57 and a pass block grade of 46.8. They have him down as 3 sacks, 1 quarterback hit, 4 total pressures. Now I have not checked out true pass sets yet, or along those lines there, but it wasn't great, obviously, in either the run or the pass department. Now, I think they have Isaac Seumalo grading out slightly under him, especially and mainly because of the run blocking component. 44.6 for Seumalo versus 82.2 in the pass protection department. And great, the number one grade, although it kind of average across the board for offensive linemen, was Mason McCormick at 63.6.
Jones pass pro grade 46.8. That was 33rd out of 39 qualifiers, even though he allowed 3 sacks. The only tackle, according to PFF, to allow 3 sacks this weekend. So maybe there were a couple of good reps in there, but overall, really, really poor performance. The eye test tells you that, and the grades just reaffirm that. Yeah, Dave, I think overall, with the run game being as poor as it was, Pittsburgh was living in 3rd and long all game long, and that is added to the list of things that cannot be sustainable. Of their 10 third downs, 6 of them were 3rd and 10 plus, and you just can't live there. You weren't in 3rd and manageable. You weren't efficient on early downs. I don't know what the first down rate was for Pittsburgh in this game. I can try to pull it up, but I could assume it was not good in this game, and first down success has really been fleeting for this team for a long time. They were 32nd in first down success last year, and did not feel like that got off to a good start. You were just playing behind the sticks. Far too often the Jets played ahead of the sticks, and that's why this game was as close and competitive as it was.
Yeah, and they had 5 explosive plays on offense, and all 5 of them came via the pass in this one. And in fact, every play that they had of over 10 yards, I think, was a pass outside of, and they qualify the Caleb Johnson run for -2 yards with the extra 15 tapped on as a 13 total yard play as one of their 10 longest. So you really relied on Aaron Rodgers to deliver plays at key moments, and only one of their top 10 longest plays in this game came on 3rd down, and that came kind of in the first quarter, 3rd and 10 from the Steelers 40, pass to the short right to DK Metcalf for 23 yards, and that's the one where I think the defender Cisco kind of slipped down there, and Metcalf was able to scoot down the side there. So once again, Aaron Rodgers didn't, according to PFF, grade out overly well in this game. I would imagine that might be because of some of the quote unquote interceptable passes. Probably they probably gigged them pretty hard on that overall. But I mean, Aaron Rodgers played a huge part in this game, and ultimately for the win, obviously.
Pittsburgh averaged 3.1 yards per first down in this game. That was 27th around the league entering Monday night. Let's see what the run game was. I'm sure that was even much worse. Pittsburgh, 2.6 yards per run on first down. That was 30th in the NFL. Only teams worse, the Bengals and the Browns in that 17-16 AFC North matchup. So got to be better on first down. Got to get a better push-up run. Got to be more balanced and rhythmic and on schedule. But happy to at least get the win and try to correct those things in the process.
Yeah. How many penalties did they have on offense in this one?
Offensively, I'm not sure specifically for the game. They only had 4, so there was a delay of game. I know that Rodgers took. He tried to get the timeout off and didn't in time.
I know Connor Heyward had one on special teams.
Yeah, he's already a target of Steelers fans, and that's not going to do himself any favors. Really dumb penalty there. Special teams was pretty bumpy in this game, Boz aside. I mean, there were just some bad sequences. Even your one long run of 9 that you mentioned earlier, Jaylen Warren put you in 2nd and 1, and then what happened from there? You have, I think, a failed run, and then you had a delay game, I think, to push it back to 3rd and 6, and it just was a mess in so many ways.
Yeah, it was. Fortunately, they didn't shoot themselves in the foot with any turnovers in this game, although they did put the ball on the ground a couple times. I think Caleb Johnson on a kickoff return that who was it? Thornhill, I think, recovered, and then Gainwell, I think, recovered one of his own fumbles in this game on offense. Gainwell, obviously, I mean, probably has to be the turning point of the game was the play that Gainwell made on the kickoff return and getting that football loose, and Ben Skoranek recovered. I thought Ben Skoranek he didn't play a lot of snaps, but I thought Ben Skronik had kind of one of those Nick Herbig type of games, I guess, where he wasn't on the field much, but you knew when he was on the field.
Made a bunch of impact plays, offense and special teams. But just to put a bow on how bad this run game was, 2 rushing first downs for Pittsburgh in this game. They had more first downs from penalties than they had from running the ball in this game. 14 passing first downs. So just no balance there. I wasn't shocked to see Kenneth Gainwell get more reps and considerably more reps than Caleb Johnson, but I was surprised to see it be a pretty even split between Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. I think for this game, especially trying to bring some energy to this offense on the road, quiet the crowd. Let's get Warren out there, more downhill, more physical, can create after contact more effectively than Kenneth Gainwell. Gainwell is just not a good runner. He's just really not. He's a space guy. He's a quick guy. He's not a super fast guy. That's not really his game. So I know they like him, and there's reason to like him, and he was impactful on kick coverage in this game, obviously, but he's just not going to be that guy that's going to tote the ball 7-8 times as a runner and expect a lot of success from it.
Oh, once again, like I said, 10 touches in this game, 11 total opportunities with one of the pass targets going his way. And this team had officially 54 offensive plays. So what is that? 20, right at around 20% of your offensive plays ran through Kenneth Gainwell. I didn't see that one coming.
Right. I mean, I expected him to play more than Caleb Johnson. Did Johnson play just the one snap? I know he only had the one carry. Was there any other snaps for him offensively in this game, Dave?
Yeah, he played more, not much more, I don't think. How many total snaps did Caleb play? 2. He played 2 offensive snaps. He played 7 on special teams, obviously, with the kick return stuff and all.
I think they all came on kick returns. What were the snap breakdown at running back for all 3? Warren, Gainwell, and Johnson's 2.
Let's see. Gainwell, 30 snaps, 54% of the snaps. Jalen Warren, 25 snaps, 45%. And then Caleb Johnson, 2 for 4% of the snaps.
Yeah, I don't know why Gainwell got more snaps than Jalen Warren.
All right. I don't understand that either. I didn't see that one coming. Didn't see 20% of the offense running through him.
Any other thoughts here offensively? Jonnu Smith with a quirky stat line, 5 receptions, 15 yards in that one short pop pass, jet pass touchdown. He's the first Steelers non-running back to have at least 5 receptions, but no more than 15 yards in a game in franchise history. So welcome to Pittsburgh, Jonnu Smith.
Welcome back, Stats of the Weird there. Once again, I thought, they didn't target Freiermuth a lot in this game, but I thought the 3 catches that he made were really good ones. What about that catch DK had off of the carom off of Jonnu in this game on that? I think that was the game, what ended up being a game-winning drive there. Boy, what happens if that falls incomplete?
Yeah, or gets picked off. That thing bounced every which way. I mean, that was just one of those insane, wacky type of plays that you're just happy the ball bounced away. Can I needle you a little bit, Dave? Is it okay to needle you and tease you a little bit? I say this with the love of my heart here. Are you still taking the under 900 yards on DK Metcalf this season after 83 yards in his debut?
Yeah, I'm not going to look. I don't think you can make any sweeping analyzations after one game here. But here's the other thing, though, as a counterpart, they spread the football, and I said they probably would. They spread the football around a lot in this game. And even what's the stats of the weird on the 4 different players' touchdown receptions?
Yeah, 4 different players caught a touchdown. DK not being one of those 4. Austin, Skowronek, Warren, and Jonnu Smith. First time that's happened in a game since 2018, when it was, I think, 5 different guys. And God, who was it? Juju, Antonio Brown, Jalen Samuels, Jesse James, and maybe Vance McDonald in 2018. 5 that day. So, yeah, 7 different Steelers caught a pass. 4 of them caught a touchdown. That is certainly the epitome of the Arthur Smith offense, to distribute the ball to all your eligibles.
Now, I will say and credit you on this, DK Metcalf and the yak aspect of it. How many of his 83 yards came after the catch?
His first 2 receptions, I think, highlighted that yak, that first catch that I think he got yak on. They threw that screen to him for 31. And, man, that's the stuff you felt at training camp. When this guy turns on the Jets, he's just a different dude. A guy of that size and that muscular frame should not be able to run like that. But whenever he opens up, man, he is just flying.
Yeah, when's the last time? I don't know what the total. I have to look and see what the total yak was in this game, but that's another hidden stat in this game that made a big difference in this thing. Jalen Warren had, I think, a little bit of yak in this one on his 2 catches for 22 yards. Obviously, the Skoranek touchdown, probably about half of that was yak. Johnny Smith caught the football actually behind the line of scrimmage on the pop pass for the touchdown. So there's some obviously some a little bit of yak there. Metcalf, a lot of yak. The only one that probably didn't have a lot of yak, I guess, would be Austin, right?
I think, but man, he made
And
some great.
Freiermuth, because Freiermuth seemed to
Sure.
all 3 of his catches seemed to be probably right at the target space there.
Yeah, he made some tough combative catches over the middle. Did he catch that first third down on that first drive that extended it? Was that him or was that DK?
I think it was.
I think it was Freiermuth on that slant, that empty over the middle, which was a tough catch. And yeah, those are plays that you forget about, but they're really important to your overall success to get yourself out of a 2nd and 14 after the sack and get things going in the right direction. Calvin Austin, what a great game for him. 4 catches, 70 yards, the touchdown, 30-yard reception was his long, a great combat catch that put Pittsburgh in goal to go. This guy has really transformed himself to be somebody who can make tough catches. You know, my big knock on him early in his career was he couldn't make catches outside the frame. He had to throw the ball right between the 1 and the 9 for him to come down with it. He's now making, body adjustments and combat catches and guys draped all over him. Really, really impressive improvement for Calvin Austin.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a huge catch down the right sideline on a contested catch especially for a guy his size. So was excited to see him make an impact in this game.
What were the tight end snaps in this one? We talked about the running back snaps for like a lot of Freiermuth and Johnny, and not a lot of Darnell Washington, who was not targeted in this game.
He ended up playing, though, almost 50% of snaps, 26 snaps for Darnell Washington, 46% in total. I don't know if we saw a ton of 13 personnel in this one. I know we saw, and I don't have the numbers yet on this, I know we obviously saw a lot of 12 personnel in this one. Johnny Smith, let's see, let me go through them real quick here. Johnny Smith, 37 snaps, 66%. Pat Freiermuth, 28 for just 50%. Darnell Washington, 26 snaps for 46%. Connor Heyward, 4 snaps for 7%.
All right, so pretty good distribution there. Washington played more than I thought then, but obviously not involved in the passing game. Not going to be his forte every single week. I know Rodgers likes him, and these things will ebb and flow. There'll be weeks where it's this guy's week, and then he fades off the next week. So that's how this offense, I think, will be generally constructed. DK is still going to get the steady volume, your obvious number one. Rodgers will find him consistently, but everything else from there is going to be pretty grab bag.
Yeah. They never had any rhythm at all in the running game on early downs. And, like I said, 2nd and 7, they were having to throw a bunch, and obviously out of the chute with the opening sack and all like that. So those negative plays obviously don't help when it comes to getting rhythm going with the running game. But that, without a doubt, that's something that's got to turn around here.
Any other final thoughts here for this offense, at least from that initial in couple of watches back?
No, I think we hit on most of it there offensively.
Yeah, Rodgers played
like
really
the play
well.
action, like some of the RPO usage in this. They just couldn't get the running game going overall, and they're going to have to do that so they don't have Aaron Rodgers dropping back 35 times a game.
But you certainly felt the benefit of Rodgers, not just in the obvious 4 touchdowns, but his autonomy, changing plays at the line of scrimmage, changing protections, getting this team in the right calls. It's hard to say exactly how much freedom he had and how much of that is just extension and tools given to him. Quarterbacks have a lot of cans and checks that they can make at the line of scrimmage, but you could certainly feel Rodgers sorting things out against, as you said, a tough Jets defense that presents a lot of different pictures and a lot of problems for you for any offense.
I tell you what, you wouldn't known that Aaron Rodgers didn't play a single snap during the preseason. And second, it looked like he'd been part of Arthur Smith's offense for the last 3 seasons. The way he functioned within it. So I have no doubt, and really have it, that Aaron gets the offense, obviously, and knows what he's seeing, on the other side there, those kind of things there. The question is, it just becomes on a weekly performance. And as you stated, what happened with him does not feel sustainable over time. Maybe he'll prove us wrong, but you hope that you don't have to rely on that being kind of a sustainable element, because the better that this run game gets, and look, and they work, and you look at that early Ben Skoranek touchdown. That's just an example of, you don't have to run the ball all that great for play action to work. I mean, you just watch Rodgers carry that thing out. All those linebackers at the second level are kind of frozen, if you will, and then Ben Skoranek's just running free, on the crosser over there, and that was an easy pitch and catch. So that will get even better, you would think, the element of play action, if they're able to kind of establish this running game.
And just some of those off-platform throws that Rodgers can still make. Now, can he still do that in Week 10 if he keeps getting hit the way he's getting hit? I have my doubts, but fresh body for Week 1. I mean, he made some throws that were vintage Aaron Rodgers, where it's not stepping up and striding and transferring your weight from back foot to front foot. It's throwing off your back foot. It's. I think it was a clip from before Sunday Night Football last night, Rodgers both feet off the ground, I think, on the touchdown to Calvin Austin. I mean, it's just kind of some unconventional stuff that he can do. And again, it just kind of felt like turning back the clock in this game, and Pittsburgh needed every ounce of that. So 4 touchdowns for Rodgers, the first quarterback in Pittsburgh to throw for 4 touchdowns in the post-Big Ben era. He's one of only 3 quarterbacks. What's the stat I have here? I think one of only 3 quarterbacks to throw for 4 touchdowns in Week 1 for Pittsburgh. It's Ben in 2007. I think Mark Malone did so. I think maybe there's 4. I think Bobby Lane did so as well. But Rodgers, the first Steelers quarterback to ever throw 4 touchdowns in his Pittsburgh debut. So lots of fun stats with Aaron Rodgers.
Looks like his time to throw, according to PFF, initially in this game was 2.29 seconds. Trying to find true pass sets in this one.
Yeah, some of those RPO certainly can speed things up, but
yeah,
still getting sacked 4 times and getting hit the way that he did on 2.29 seconds is kind of crazy. But
looked like there was only 10 true pass sets in this game, to let you know how much Aaron Rodgers was on the move.
And yeah, that's understandable. You don't want to be that sitting duck and change the launch point in this game. So I know play action was still, it had its effectiveness, obviously, with the 3 touchdowns, but you had 2 sacks off of it. So it just kind of felt like very feast famine, and just couldn't get some of the downfield shots off the play action that Pittsburgh was aiming for. Running back screen game still rough. Gainwell got sacked, not literally, but taken down for a big loss on one of those plays. So that's still a lot of things to work out for this offense, obviously.
Looks like 2 sacks allowed on those 10 true pass sets. Not great, Bob.
Yeah, not great. And I think 2 sacks came on play action as well. All right, Dave, let's flip over to the defense in this one. And it's disappointing. There's no other way to talk about that for a defense that was hyped up, and some of the additions that were made. I know there were injuries, guys who didn't dress, and some in-game injuries as well to the defensive side of the football, but just not good enough. The Jets took it to Pittsburgh from their very first drive. They controlled the line of scrimmage. They were more physical. They imposed their will, which is very much what Aaron Glenn wanted to do in this game and probably for the entire season. And Pittsburgh didn't have many answers until very late in the game.
Yeah, they were getting bullied around in the running game there. I think one thing that stuck out, at least in going through the all 22, as far as I've made it through the first half there, Keanu Benton on the ground a lot. But I didn't think this was a very good game at all for Keanu Benton, especially when it came to run defense. But I mean, he obviously wasn't alone in that category. I thought T.J. Watt really played well on defense overall. I think he missed. I think he did have a missed tackle in this one. Run defense. So Peyton Wilson just really not the kind of impact that you want to see in this game. If not for Patrick Queen in this game against the run, I think things might have been a little bit worse. Peyton Wilson seemed to be getting off, not being able to get off blocks. Seems like some gap integrity issues in this one, and some fits overall. They missed Deshaun Elliott for sure but he still played 26 snaps, I think, before he went out injured. They were just getting pushed off the ball overall, and there were some clean holes for those, especially on runs to the left side, because I don't think they had all that many. And I talked about this too. I was kind of worried about the Jets running to the right side in this one, and where they made their money in this game was running either up the middle or more to the left side in this game. And it was 16, 17, 13. It just felt like they really had the Steelers on the heels in the running game.
From the word go, the first rush of the day for New York was 18 yards. That ended up being Breece Hall's longest run of the day, but he was consistently excellent. And the Jets just stayed on schedule. Pittsburgh did not get the early down disruptions to put the Jets behind the sticks, to force them to pass, to force them to go in a third and long. The Jets really got to play their style of game and almost won because of it. They didn't put too much on Fields' plate. He played well, especially I think later as the game progressed. But I mean, they utilized his mobility well. Pittsburgh knew it was coming. They struggled to stop it. Even just stuff like Patrick Queen getting beat by Fields to the perimeter on one run. Guys just not rallying. But I think just overall, no one got off of blocks. I definitely want to watch Peyton Wilson. This one did not feel like a good game for him. But just up front, even Cam, I was watching Cam doing my charting last night. Just didn't feel like typical Cam Heyward stuff. He was getting moved off his spot too much. I don't know if he was doing too much or if the distractions of the contract was a factor in not getting his mind right for this game, even though it was ultimately settled by kickoff. It did not feel like a vintage game for most of these guys.
Yeah, I think early you had T.J. Watt kind of crashing down one-on-one on Fields, and Joey Porter creeping in a little bit too low, giving up the edge to Justin Fields. They knew what was coming in this one, right? It's not like, did the Jets do anything offensively that you said, oh wow, I didn't see that coming?
No, nothing radical. I don't know what maybe particulars because there is so much unknown with that new outfit, new regime. But from the general standpoint, if they're going to run the ball, they want to control the line of scrimmage and give the ball to Hall in the fields. No, that's not a surprise.
And then that early touchdown, they just got bullied. And who was the running back on that one from like 9 yards out or something? That you just can't have those come from.
Oh, Braylon Allen, pushing over the end zone. Yep.
Yeah, you just can't get pushed around like that. And once again, I think that you're going to see, and once again, I haven't made it through past the first half yet. Keanu Benton's got to start playing better, man. Period. Against a run.
Right, it's a big year for him. It's not off to a particularly great start. But yeah, you're right. That success really came from the Steelers' right side, runs to the left, and the Jets knew where to go. So even though without Harmon and Loudermilk was playing at left defensive end in this game, basically anytime they ran to T.J. Watt's side, there wasn't as much success. And when they ran away, the success started coming in droves.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that get fixed? Is that a blip? Is that a concern? I know once hopefully this team gets healthier and Harmon comes back, although I'm skeptical he'll play in week 2. I don't know the status of Elliott and Harrison and others, but is it a schematic thing? Is it just kind of having to, for lack of a better phrase, nut up and just start playing more physical and start playing better football?
Well, it's in a historic unit just yet.
Oh, the historic unit be a wrong direction so far.
Look, if that's the Baltimore Ravens right there, they probably run for 400 yards in this one. They are going to have to get, once Derek Harmon, look, Aquale, I thought Aquale played okay in this one. But outside of guys up front, I thought that was it. And even that was kind of a low bar when it came to Aquale, I think, against the run. They got to get Derek Harmon on the field and healthy. And as this thing goes on, if Keanu Benton, I did say this, one of the things that I did feel a little bit better coming out of preseason, I still had my questions about how would this front do against the run. And out of the gate here, not great. So you got to get Harmon healthy. We'll see how much that helps. And Benton's just got to get better, especially when they're in base and he's in the middle of that defense. He's got to be able to keep his feet and anchor and take on some of those blocks and just not get pushed out away or put on the ground.
I think the most frustrating part of it all was all you heard this offseason was coming off that Baltimore wildcard loss was we got to get bigger We got to get more physical. We got to get better against the run up front. And their investments reflected that in a lot of ways. Derek Carmen in the first round, even adding Jalen Ramsey as that nickel presence against the run. Y.A. Black, Jack Sawyer, 3-year first 4 draft picks are on that front 7. I know Harmon didn't play in this game, but you're getting still the same results. You're not seeing that improvement. It is one game. We'll see the long arc of the season. But over your last 2 games, Dave, the wild card loss last year in this Jets game, Pittsburgh has allowed 481 yards rushing. And that is just the opposite of how this team is supposed to operate.
Look, I'm not going to pretend like Cam Heyward had a great game, especially against the run in this one. But what happens if you were to lose him right now? While you still try to learn more about Derek Harmon and Y.A. Black and all like that. I mean, these backup guys have got to get better. It doesn't sound like Otomewo is going to be be part of this. Loudermilk's just a guy. He's not a guy that you want playing. How many snaps did Loudermilk play? 31, and he graded out 37.6 against the run. I would tend to say that that's probably fairly accurate when it comes to that. He played 19 run snaps. Loudermilk did in this one. And even you have to kind of look for Y.A. Black even on the field. I was surprised that he ended up playing, I think, 24 snaps in this one because he didn't really stick out any in this game. The guys that stuck out against the run were unfortunately the secondary guys and T.J. Watt.
They tackled well, at least the secondary. That's one very small silver lining to this game. I know Pittsburgh's trying to rotate guys, and I thought they could have rotated a bit more. That first drive, those guys stayed out there for several snaps in a row, but I know that is first drive of the game. You're trying to get a stop and stop some of the bleeding. Heyward, you're right. First watch, I don't think had a good game. He did have one key tackle on that next to last drive by New York. It was 2nd and 5. He shed the block and tackled Breece Hall for a 2-yard gain, set up 3rd and 3 that the Jets did not convert, had the punt, and Pittsburgh went down and took the lead. So at least in some moments, Heyward made some impactful plays, and that kind of is how this defense went. They played pretty bad overall, but those last 2 drives, they finally started to shut things down.
Yep.
Let's talk about those last 2 drives, Dave, and specifically the last drive of the game. Jalen Ramsey, welcome to Pittsburgh, man. 2 breakups on that one, and of course had the 4th down big stick on Garrett Wilson to dislodge player from ball, prevent the first down, and call game right there. So Ramsey played well. He played all over. He played outside corner, played in the slot, played safety and base, played more outside whenever Porter left. And so he was everything Pittsburgh hoped he would be and what they needed him to be in this game.
Boy, all you needed were those last 2 plays by him, right? A pass breakup on 3rd, and then turn right around in 4th to separate Garrett Wilson from the football. Game, set, match,
Yes, sir. I mean, it was 2nd down was the first breakup.
Okay.
There was that 3rd down pressure by Patrick Queen. But point is, those last 2 competitive completions or attempts by Justin Fields were broken up by Ramsey. The first one, extended play, mirrors Josh Reynolds, breaks it up. And the last one, looks like Pittsburgh playing cover 2. I haven't seen the all-22 clip of that or haven't looked at it yet, but Ramsey coming up there. And that is textbook. It is so hard in the NFL to have that kind of hit anymore because you have to hit so perfectly. That strike zone, can't hit too high, can't hit too low. And he just squared up Wilson, head across, knocked that football out. I mean, that is literal teach tape from Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, to be able to read that, come off of his guy, and then start working back downhill towards to Garrett Wilson, and then for a guy his age, and you go back to the first half in this, and that big hit that he had on Justin Fields. Look at the closing speed on that. He shoots out of a cannon. To make that hit on Justin Fields. And here's another aspect of it. I thought overall that that tackle attempt that he was ultimately flagged on, that was a BS call. He's trying. What do you want him to do? He somewhat has to go through the tight end, I think, on that. He's got to go because who was it? Was it Fields on that one? Yeah, I think
it was Fields.
I mean, you effectively you have to go through the player on that, and you do have to kind of go low on that. But I thought he tried to avoid the blocker enough on that where he shouldn't have been penalized on that. I thought that was a BS call.
They modified this rule where you can't go low? Is it inside the tackle box or is it out in space? The NFL over the last couple of years, I think, have changed the rule on that a little bit. I think that's why it was flagged. Because on the surface, you wonder, how is that a penalty? He's just going low. He's just trying to take away the block. And I think that's a byproduct of a couple of years ago, the NFL expanding, and trying to protect offensive players from guys going low on them.
Yeah, look, I think obviously subjective in all this, but is the guy attempting to do more than just
Sure.
take the legs out from the guy trying to block him? Is he trying to attempt to make a tackle of the guy with the ball?
Yeah, no, I understand there is that line. I'm not trying to
Sure.
defend the call
Sure.
completely. I'm trying to explain a little bit for those who might, because this was a rule change that kind of went under the radar of what happened there, and I'm trying to find exactly where it's at. I'm struggling a little bit, but there's additional protection for, I think, low blocks or defenders trying to cut out in space. I think the concern was on some of these screen plays, defenders are going low to take out the knees of offensive linemen to try to just kind of knock them down and take away some of those blocks in space, and the NFL's trying to protect that, and I think that's why that got flagged. But yeah, that's, as you said, what is Ramsey supposed to do in that situation? And you certainly can understand that point of view.
Yeah. What an impact he had in this game for sure.
And that's why whenever I talked about him at training camp, I talked about the word presence. And it's sort of an ethereal, intangible way to describe it. But you felt that in this game. He is a presence, his energy, his intensity, the way I'm sure he pisses off opponents by kind of, being loud and smack talking a little bit and that kind of stuff. But man, you love to have him on your team. That's what Mike Tomlin said post game. And those plays are the reasons why he's here. And I feel less skeptical about that trade in June. I was a little skeptical about trading Minka. I don't even know how Minka did yesterday. The Dolphins got killed, but Ramsey making an impact right away.
How many I tell you one thing that at least stuck out in the TV tape, and then more specifically in the all 22 tape, at least in the first half, was some of those throws that Justin Fields made on third down in this game. Let me pull up how many third downs. Looks like they had, as far as passing third downs go, they had 6 third down opportunities in which they dropped back in this game. The Jets did. 2 of them in the first half were really tight window throws, and it makes you wonder, man, if he don't make those tight window throws, the Steelers get off the field, because both those drives ended up in 10 total points for the Jets, I believe, in this one. So I thought one went to Ruckert, where just out of the reach of the defender. That might have been, I think, Queen. Maybe it was Queen on both these, and then the other one to Johnson, the wide receiver, for 24 yards on a 3rd and 9. They converted both those, and then let's see, their first 4 third down dropbacks in this game, they all converted on complete passes. And then Fields had a scramble of 9 yards on a 3rd and 10. And then later in the game, obviously, was a Patrick Queen breakup on Breece Hall on a 3rd and 3 with 30 seconds left in the game. So I thought Fields made some big tight window throws, especially in the first half of this game, that really kept the Jets offense on schedule.
Yeah, Fields was excellent, and give him credit. He made some tough plays, and yeah, I think Pittsburgh helped make him a better quarterback, and the Jets are going to help further that progression, I think, even more. So, any other thoughts here defensively? The lack of pass rush, and it's harder when the Jets are running the ball at will and staying on schedule. And I know that Pittsburgh, that's not conducive to any defense having success, but there really was no pass rush. I mean, Fields went almost the entire game without being sacked, and I mentioned he's historically one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the modern era. And Highsmith got him. It still ended up in a touchdown, unfortunately. It was a great play by Highsmith. He got some pressure in this game, but just the pass rush was not really there.
The Jets were 3 of 4 in the red zone too, so you get an additional stop down there at some point. that potentially changes the game. But they were 50% on third down in this game. We rattled off that 4 of those came via the arm of Justin Fields, and then they were 3 of 4 in the red zone. And Fields, of course, played a part two of those 3 touchdowns, right?
And then one fourth down conversion they had in this game, they were 1 of 2, was the Fields naked. And, it's a tough play. Obviously, you're trying to sell out against the run, and the running back should Slay be responsible for any sort of quarterback run there? I don't know, but, obviously a walk-in touchdown for Justin Fields.
Right. 3 of 3 and goal-to-goal situations for the Jets, too.
If there is any upside, this defense made plays on 2-point conversions. The Jets were 0-2 of this game, and that's critical in a 2-point loss. So the Jets had the first extra point attempt after their first touchdown. It was missed, but there was a penalty on Pittsburgh for illegal alignment. The Jets go for 2, and they stuffed. I think it was Braylon Allen who got stuffed. And then later in the game, the Jets tried to go for 2, and Darius Slay didn't have a great game, broke up a pass in the end zone. So those are some hidden moments that obviously loom large in a 2-point win.
And they ran so good offensively in this game that 13 of their 23 first downs came via the run, only 9 via passing.
What did the Jets do on first down in this game? I should be checking that. They averaged 5.5 yards per run on first down in this game. I'll have to see what the overall number was in this one, but they stayed on schedule. They were really balanced, and that was critical to their success. They averaged 8.2 yards per play on first down against Pittsburgh. That was second in the NFL this weekend, going into Monday night, only behind Baltimore, who averaged 9.2 yards per play. So that says it all right there about what they were able to do. 19 rushes, 9 passes on first down. They ran the ball. Pittsburgh knew it was coming, and they could not stop it.
Yep. Aaron Rodgers had an 8.765 adjusted net yards per passing attempt stat number in this game. But on the flip side, the Steelers defense gave up a 10.1 adjusted net yards per passing attempt stat in this game. Not oftentimes you see an opposing, have your defense give up a 10.1 NEA stat and win a ball game, and the only reason they did is because Aaron Rodgers put up almost a 9.
Yeah, and again, just things that are not sustainable
with 4
across
sacks.
The board. Yeah, with 4 sacks. It's funny, 3 of the 4 teams who averaged 8 yards or better on first down in week 1 lost this weekend. Baltimore, the Jets, and the Chiefs. Only the Raiders at 8.1 came away with a victory, so wouldn't expect that, but again, you see why the Jets had their offensive success, put up 32 points, because they ran the ball really, really efficiently.
All right, special teams.
Well, let's talk about just coverage really quickly. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot to talk about the pass game. Darius Slay. How much blame do you put on Darius Slay on that Garrett Wilson 33-yard touchdown?
I mean, I don't know if that was a Yankee or not, right? He just had 2 crossing.
He was a Yankee. Looked like it.
Might have been a Yankee, but he just got ran away from. And I mean, you're in a man type situation, right? You had the safety coming down to try to go with the other the other crossing route. That one.
Yeah, it's outside leverage, and so you're trailing the whole way. It's tough, obviously, when you're outside leverage and the route is inside. But Slay's, I think, lack of speed and his older age shines through, and I think he kind of looked up too much instead of trying to really run and get kind of really into the hip. Garrett Wilson on that play, and if he just kind of runs through it instead of looking up and where it naturally slows yourself down a little bit, I think he would have had a chance to at least compete on the way down. It wasn't going to break up the pass initially, but maybe he could have played through the hands and knocked it away. So, tough play, but it's a big play to allow.
Let's see. Their explosive plays. The Jets had 5 of them. The Garrett Wilson touchdown was the longest one at 33 yards. They had that pass to the short right to Breece Hall for 33 yards as well. He had that deep middle that we just talked about, that tight window throw to Johnson for 24 yards on 3rd and 9 in the second quarter. He also had one to Garrett Wilson for 21 yards short to the middle. I think that was one of the ones that Wilson had a little bit of yak on, and then a pass deep left to Mason Taylor for 20 yards. So 5 explosive plays, all 5 coming via the pass.
Who won the talk stat in this game, Dave? Felt pretty even.
5-5 on explosive plays, and the Steelers had the one takeaway, right?
Yeah, I guess that was a difference maker, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Literally and figuratively in this one, that was a weighty play overall. So Pittsburgh won it +1.
right.
Anything else here? Chuck Clark, I thought, filled in pretty admirably for Deshaun Elliott. Don't want to see Clark have to play long term. Hopefully Elliott's not going to miss any time or much time, but that was something to note. And Eccles came in and he played inside, he played outside. And so I think Pittsburgh having to show its cornerback depth, and happy they have a deep roster of corners.
All right.
All right, Dave, special teams, some good, some bad, some ugly, but Chris Boswell, have to talk about him. Kicks from 56 and 60 to win it. Career-long franchise record for Chris Boswell. I know Pittsburgh does not do contracts in season, Dave, but I don't care. Go give this guy a contract. I made the joke. It was like old, what is it, clearinghouse sweepstakes, big checks they would deliver at your door. Go give Boswell one of those things.
Yeah, they won't. But if anybody deserved additional cash going into this season, it was him. And what did I say the other day when you said what would the longest field goal be for Chris Boswell this year? I think I said 59 yards, didn't I? And
I think.
I'm already a loser in week one with that. And another thing that I stated throughout the preseason here and off season was, well, hopefully they won't have to rely on Chris Boswell and kick in a lot of goals, or especially long field goals. So what does he do? He goes out and makes two of the longer field goals of his career, and obviously a career high on what the kick coverage, I don't think was the kickoff return coverage wasn't great at all in this, nor really was the punt return coverage in this one. Got to get that tightened up overall. I do think, though, I mean, and we talked about the turning point of the game was the Gainwell, and Mike Thomas said to see offensive players make plays like that on special teams is really something notable. Now, Ben Skowronek, we've become, in the short time that he's been here, we've come to expect Ben Skowronek to show up on special teams as an offensive player, and I thought he did. I mean, it's hard. Not only when Ben Skowronek was on offense, I thought on special teams it was easy to pick out Ben Skowronek getting down the field, especially on punts and kickoff coverage and all like that. But to have a guy like Kenneth Gainwell go down there and do what he did on that kickoff return, get that ball out, that was a key. That was the turning point of the game, I thought.
Oh, it was 100%. They talk about those white shirts making plays, and that's because the offensive players in practice wear white. The Steelers wear the defenders wear the gold jerseys, and so the white offensive players in jerseys can go out there and make plays too. And Gainwell certainly did. And yeah, that was just a great way to rapid fire get points. And even though the Jets ended up taking the lead back, Pittsburgh taking the lead, finally kind of coming all the way back, and so that was critical. But just to go back to Boss, over the last 3 years, Dave, he is 21 to 24 on field goals of 50-plus yards. That's 87.5%. That is, even in this golden age of kickers, where kickers are better than ever, and I know there's talk about the K-ball now, and we might see longer field goals than we have before, and the weather's good this time of year, but man, I mean, that is just still, it's the best of the best, and that's when you're a elite player, when you're, when your peers are all good too, but you still rise above them. That's the mark of a great kicker.
Yeah, I just ran through my head replaying that 60-yarder. How good, how far away was that one potentially good for?
Yeah, these weren't just good. These didn't just sneak over the upright. These were good.
That
65.
was at least 70, man. That ball is way back in the deep portion of the that one I think would have went in the stands if the net was not there.
Was it that far? I thought maybe 65 looked like maybe it would have been good.
He got it
70?
further than that. I'll go back and look at it.
Okay.
He got all that, and he told Mike Florio that he don't know how far that one would have been good from, because as soon as he kicked it, knew it was down the middle. He didn't even look at it anymore.
I mean, he was cool, calm, collected. He celebrated the least out of anybody after that kick. I mean, he just knows it's going to go through. He doesn't have to worry about getting excited about it because he already knows the outcome. And then Mike Tomlin, very classic. Mike Tomlin, he might have said this before about Boz, but it certainly played well yesterday.
Serial killer.
He's a serial killer, Chris Boswell, and he killed the Jets yesterday.
He sure did. Aaron Rodgers and Chris Boswell both should have got game balls for this one.
I'm sure they did. And Skoranek, as you said, the fumble recovery. And then even on the 55-yard punt that Waitman had, Skoranek, the only gunner able to get off a block and get down there and force the fair catch. If he's not able to do that, if he's taken out of the play or there's some sort of return, that's going to be a good return, probably 10-plus yards. And so I think that was a hidden play. I don't know if the Jets, I don't know what the outcome was on that drive, but that was also just a big-time play by Ben Skoranek.
All right, so I guess my main takeaway was kind of circling back to my top takeaway in this one. You get out of escape from New York with a win with a lot of tape to be corrected.
Yeah, and then just some other odds and ends. Waitman felt a little shaky as a punter. He had 2 dumb penalties, illegal alignment, and then the Connor Heyward late hit there. Just too sloppy in this game. Week 1's all about playing clean, playing fundamental. It's hard to game plan for these games, so it's more about what you do yourself than it is winning this schematic chess match. And Pittsburgh did not do that. Fortunately, still got the win.
All right, what are you looking for most in the tape? Defense?
Yeah, run defense. I want to see what the exact issues were. It's not going to be pretty. Obviously, you're not going to come back and say Wednesday and go, actually, it was pretty good. I was better than I thought. No, you want to just try to diagnose what the issues were. It probably was just simple, just guys not getting off of blocks, not being physical, just getting their butt kicked. But I want to definitely watch the interior D-line and those inside backers.
And then on offense, obviously, the run blocking and schematics of the running game.
Yeah, just trenches across the board in terms of why did Pittsburgh lose pretty badly on both sides of the trenches.
All right.
All right, Dave, any other final thoughts here of this game?
I think we got it there as far as offense, defense, special teams. I guess we can talk a little bit about the Cam Heyward thing now.
Yeah, let's talk about the Cam Heyward situation. So in the 11th hour, midnight hour, essentially, maybe the latest contract Pittsburgh has ever done before a season began. This was around, 8, 9 o'clock on Saturday that the news came in. There was finally some resolution with the Heyward contract, well reported by Ian Rappaport and others. Pittsburgh adding incentives to Heyward's contract, $3.2 million of playoff-based incentives for Cameron Heyward. And so he gets an adjustment to his contract, although it's probably not exactly what he was looking for, but it's done. It's taken care of. Heyward did not want to talk about it post-game yesterday. He just focused on the win. But there's resolution on Cam Heyward.
Yeah, you would think most of this is going to be not likely to be earned type stuff tied to playoffs. Now, if any of it's tied to them actually making the playoffs, then obviously they made the play high, and I forgot this. They made the playoffs last year. So if anything's tied to them actually making the playoffs, then that would be likely to be earned. But anything beyond that, and I would imagine too, much like the Aaron Rodgers contract and his incentives, I would imagine Cam Heyward's got to play something like 50% of the snaps, probably through in any playoff game for sure, and potentially even throughout the regular season if they make the playoffs as well too. So none of this is obviously guaranteed at all, and it's not a big give on the Steelers' part, and it's not a big get on Cam Heyward's part for sure.
But Pittsburgh did break a precedent. We even talked about it. Cam Heyward talked about it Friday. He knows Pittsburgh does not do incentives for non-quarterbacks, and they made an exception here. But I think what Pittsburgh justification can be is it is a team-based incentive. It's not individual-based, and it's playoff-based, and it's not regular season-based. And so I think those are probably 2 reasons why Pittsburgh decided to let this one change the precedent at least a little bit.
Yeah, I think you look at it as, hey, were you all pro or were you a defensive captain, and are you over the age of 35?
Right. And playoff incentives are not something most people want to angle for in their contracts anyway, because so much of that is outside of their control. They want more individual-based incentives to give them the individual goals. And I think Pittsburgh was strongly against doing anything like that. Here's the best thing, and maybe why, in a sense, this was a win for Cam Heyward. He didn't have to make a decision about will I play week 1 or not. And I think he was going to play if no contract resolution was finalized. But in that situation, either you sit out and take all the more and more heat that you're going to take for that, or you have to kind of, your bluff is called and you end up playing and you're kind of tail between your legs as you suit up in this game. So at least Heyward can sit there and, not have to make that decision. And maybe that's the best thing for himself and for everybody.
Well, everybody will point to now, was it worth it to Cam Heyward in the eyes of the fans and all? How much did he hurt
Mhm.
his legacy and all? I'm over it. I think look, he evidently said that this was going on even back as far as February, but he I guess even if he would have screamed louder back in February and made a statement coming out in OTAs and not showed up for any of the OTAs and potentially uh for the mandatory minicamp decided to sit that out. Does anything get done on the Steelers end even if he does all that? And I think the answer to that, at least in my head, is no, I don't think it does. And do I think had they not done anything, do I think that Cam Heyward would have ultimately sat out the game week one? We'll never know the answer to that. I don't think he would have, but I just think that for what he ended up getting versus all the how it was covered, it obviously doesn't look great in the eyes of the fan. And look, I mean, he's not obviously, if the Steelers don't make the playoffs, none of this goes in his pocket here. Uh and once again, I don't know. Once it got past the off season, into he made his point, I think, back in February. And once this got into the off season and all, I think you just probably go about your business.
Yeah, I mean, deadlines spur actions. I understand these things can take some time to have resolution. That was like his contract last year and other examples around the league. I mean, not to defend Hayward fully. I think the question was it worth it? No, to take all the water he took on from the fan base. And that can all be forgiven and forgotten if he plays well and if the season's great and all that kind of stuff. But was it worth it to get some incentives that, may or may not be reached? No, I don't think it was. I don't think he handled it well. I don't like the whole cagey, will I play, will I not play? I know he's trying to preserve some leverage here. I think it was messy and he lost the PR battle miserably in this one and it just wasn't worth it overall. But at least he never had to make that decision on will I play, will I not play? And that's probably the best thing he can say about getting something done. Here's my question, Dave. What happens next year? What if Hayward has a good season? He's in last year of his contract. He's 37. What happens next summer? Are we going
Yeah,
through this again?
yeah, we're going through it again, and we see what happened this time. It's not like they're going to sign him to an extension, more than likely, right?
You wouldn't think so.
So I don't know. I tell you this: if he wants to get the fans off his back, he better have another All Pro season.
But even if he does and he goes back and
Yeah,
wants to do this contract dance again, I don't know. But that's something to think about. Is this the last contract situation with Hayward? I don't know. We will see.
yeah. And obviously with Connor Hayward coming out and what he did in that first game, and Hayward already defending him on the pod and all like that, just it wasn't a great offseason for the Haywards.
No, and I'm not, personally mad at Cam Hayward. I support players getting paid, and he is underpaid. I
I
mean, it's
thought he should have
clearly.
got more money. I said that all along. It's unfortunate that the way that it played out, the optics aspect of it.
Yeah, I think to your point, the central question is it worth it to have your, I don't know if his legacy be tarnished, but obviously fans are not happy with him right now and probably won't be for quite some time. And so was it worth it to get these incentives? I don't think it was.
I don't think so right now either. Well, it'll be interesting to hear him talk about it at a later date because he didn't want to talk about it last night.
Right. I'm sure he'll talk about it on his podcast whenever that comes out in a couple of days. All right, Dave, week one overall, Pittsburgh 1-0 in the AFC North. The Bengals held off the Browns, and it's always one of those close games. The Bengals never play well early and never play the Browns well or early in a season, but winning that one 17-16. The Ravens choking massively, blowing a 40-25 lead and losing to Buffalo 41-40 at the buzzer. So Pittsburgh, Cincinnati 1-0, the Browns and Ravens 0-1. Your week one impressions around the league, Dave.
Yeah, week one. I was amazed what happened in that game last night with Baltimore. But look, you could things really because of the Bengals and Browns playing each other, you had to have somebody either win or both of them tie it. But it ended up playing out pretty well for the Steelers overall in week 1, and now you got to keep going here in week 2. So we'll see if they can correct some of the things that they need to correct.
Yeah, Baltimore still will not be easy to play. Derrick Henry's still running strong. Lamar's still great. The Ravens have choked away a lot of leads historically, and Pittsburgh's played Baltimore well, but not really looking forward to that matchup. But that's not going to be for a little bit. But yeah, week 1 around the NFL, what were some takeaways? The Dolphins, I made that comment, and now it's early to take victory laps, but I think the Dolphins were going to be bad this year, and Mike McDaniel might be the first head coach fired. And after a 33-day butt whooping by the Colts and Daniel Jones, that's looking stronger than ever. That the Broncos struggled more than I thought, but still held on to win. What else around the NFL? What were any other around the league impressions?
Vegas getting it done against New England, I thought was interesting. Obviously, I didn't get to pay a lot of attention to a lot of these games. Houston really looked kind of from what little I saw, and that was a game against the Rams, right? So you have a team for an AFC team, not that it'll play a big part, but an out of conference, I guess, loss for Houston. What else happened there in the
Packers
AFC?
look like the Super Bowl favorites in the NFC from one weekend.
Yeah, Micah Parsons going to have a huge year for Green Bay. Green Bay is going to be just fine to do what they did to Detroit in that game there too. And boy, Miami to get blown out by Daniel Jones and company. Woo.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure your week 1 picks kicked my butt this week too. I hadn't done the math exactly, but I think you're going to have a comfortable lead. We'll make our week 2 picks on Friday, Dave.
Boy, Atlanta missing a late field goal against Tampa Bay should have been made. That was interesting. And tonight we get Minnesota and Chicago to round out week 1.
And I didn't realize the Browns. I didn't realize until hours later the Browns could have won that game. Their kicker missed a 36-yarder, I think, wide right with 2 minutes left, I believe, that would have put them up 19-17. So, yeah, I mean, the Bengals just typically have really struggled to start some of these games.
T. Higgins had 3 catches, 33 yards, and Jamar Chase 2 for 26 in that one.
Yeah, the Browns always have some weird kickers. Just I don't even know who this guy is, and that shows my ignorance, I'm sure. But Andre Smite, no idea.
Some people are saying that they need to go out and get Ben Sauls now.
Yeah, they probably need a kicker change there. But anyway, so fun week 1, and we'll see how Monday night goes tonight. But yeah, that Ravens-Bills game, man, what a fun one. I mean, it's a little maybe prisoner of the moment, but one of the best regular season games in NFL history. That doesn't feel like a stretch to say.
It's up there. What was that game a couple years ago? Chiefs and the Rams?
That shootout game?
Yeah.
I mean, that's but this is kind of the equivalent of that, yeah.
All right. Shall we get to some emails and close this thing out?
Yeah, no live stream tonight. That's part of our normal schedule, but just a reminder there. So let's get some emails and close out today's show.
This is long here. James Susanelli, how does Broderick Jones compare to the other tackles taken in 2023 PF grades last year in week 1? How does Jones compare to all other tackles in week 1? And a better question, how can we fix the jailbreak turnstile so Rodgers can have some time to throw instead of having to duck and cover? How can the Jets losing their best offensive lineman and playing a rookie have so much protection time for Fields to throw and run for 1 billion yards? A lot of loose-ended questions there. Let us get into the tape, James, a little bit more. The Steelers could have done a better job, I think, in pressure. I thought Alex Highsmith, for the most part, played a pretty good game from a pressure standpoint. Obviously, the Steelers did not have Nick Herbig in this one, and the Jets' running game really kept them on schedule and helped them a lot, I think, in their passing game. And then once again, I think Justin Fields made a couple of third down throws, tight window throws that will really stick out on tape. And as far as Broderick Jones goes, I don't want to get into how does he compare to the other tackles taken in 2023, yada, yada, and all like that. This is an important stretch of games between now and week 4 for Broderick Jones. Are they going to bench Broderick Jones just yet? No, I don't think they will or should. But I think you need to take a hard look at these first 4 games when this team gets back from Dublin, and if he plays like he did the against the Jets there, you might consider putting Calvin Anderson in there or doing something, because it obviously wasn't great, and they need him to turn the corner in a heartbeat. So I know that doesn't answer your question, James. Let us look at the tape and all on this, but without a doubt, Roger Jones has got to start playing a lot better, not just better, a lot better.
He does, you're right, and that road does not get any easier these upcoming weeks, and so I'm very skeptical of how much he will play. What did you think of Fautanu in this game? Any quick thoughts on
It
him?
was all right. One of those got beat around the edge that forced Aaron to step up, I think. But I thought for the most part, I mean, I haven't I'm only in the first half
Sure.
still, so I don't want to make any sweep. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great, especially in the run department at all. But I thought pass protection wise, it seemed at least okay. But I thought Mason McCormick was the best all around offensive lineman. But even that was a low bar. That the whole unit just needs to play better moving forward.
Fair enough. Yeah, I thought Fautanu got beat inside. Maybe Johnson got him on a spin the one time, so it didn't seem great, but seemed okay for Fautanu. But we'll go back and check.
Tyler Guilford writes in, David Knox, I miss getting this question in before the season starts, but as college and NFL gets back underway, who are your favorite follows on Twitter? I've got the whole Depot crew already, but who else is worth a follow? Oh man, it's impossible for me to answer kind of follow there. You ought to see my list and groupings and people that I follow and how I'm sectioned off on Twitter. I tell you what, I mean, just from a tape standpoint, make sure you have like the NFL matchup Twitter account. I mean, there's so many good ones. I don't sit here and have like a favorite one, because I got so many that I follow for college and NFL. So Tyler, maybe go look at my list. I don't know if you can go to Twitter and see my list if they're public, and look at that. There'll be a good selection to choose from in there.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a great answer for you on the overall follows, but follow the Depot crew for sure, and our staff did a great job here for this first week out.
Jordan Pearsall writes in, happy 1-0, fellas. What a game. My question. So my best friend is a Jets fan. After watching the game, he said Jets fans never saw Aaron Rodgers play that well, and Steeler fans never saw Justin Fields play that well. The Steelers win today, but the Jets have won long term, because Jets have a 26-year-old quarterback with superhero traits who is finally coming into his own, and the Steelers had him in their hands. Why they have 2 years left with A-Rod at the most? Do you agree with this statement, or is it still early to say? Jordan, I would just say this. Look, I thought Justin Fields played a hell of a game, and the running game that they had though helped keep him on schedule. But Justin Fields made some tight window throws in this game on third down that kept some drive. That 10 points in this game early on came because Justin Fields made some plays with his arm. All right. Are they going to have that kind of running game every week to kind of support that? I would just say this, Jordan. It was a very good game for Justin Fields, I thought. Utilized his legs, did good things with his arm. He is now, unfortunately, 0-23 in starts in games that the opposition scores at least 21 points on. He was so close to getting the first win in that. I don't want to make sweeping week one observations here, Jordan, but I will say that I thought Justin Fields played a good game and one that was good enough to win the ball game.
Did he play better in any game in Pittsburgh last year compared to this game against the Steelers yesterday?
I don't think so. Go look at some of these tight window throws that he made.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was his best game that I've seen from him, and he played reasonably well in 24. It wasn't terrible, but when that game started, they ran on 3rd and 11 on the Jets' opening drive. I thought, do they really trust Justin Fields? It's kind of a big 2024 Steelers energy with Fields, where they were very, very conservative with him in the game plan, but they opened it up when they had to, and he made plays. I thought he was fantastic in this game.
Yep. Bryce writes in, wild week one game. Here are some comments. Tweeted this at Trey Essex, and he thought it was a very fair point that 77 Broderick Jones has a lazy stance. I think fundamentally that is the start of many of his problems. The other offensive linemen's knees are bent and ready for combat. And if you watch 77, it looks like he doesn't start plays ready for football action. Low man wins, and he's already putting himself at a disadvantage with his high stance. Your thoughts? I haven't zeroed in specifically on. Do you see anything related to a lazy stance, at least in TV tape on Broderick Jones?
I'm not a stance expert, and I generally think whatever is a comfortable stance should be the stance a player takes. There's some benchmarks and rules I'm sure everyone has to follow, but it's a little individualized and personalized to kind of whatever makes you work. Obviously, it's not working with Broderick Jones. I don't know if that's stance related or not. So it's hard to say specifically what does lazy stance mean. I wish there was a little more detail on what that interpretation is. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I just would like to hear some more detail on it. But stances can be a funny thing. They're like snowflakes. Each one is a little bit different, so it's a little hard for me to judge.
Look, we're going to have a lot to say about Broderick Jones in this game on Wednesday after we both go through the all 22. So have a little bit of patience with us on that. He also writes, became painfully obvious to me this defense will go as far as their defensive line takes them. If the defensive line can't keep linemen off this specific set of smaller, more run and hit inside linebackers, then this defense will look slow and be dead in the water. If they play physical and beat blocks, then this defense will unlock. And Slay can't get cooked like he was yesterday. That was a tough cover for Slay. I will admit this, but as Alex kind of said too, if he kind of runs through that and tries to play the catch point in the pocket, does he break that up still? I mean, it's a great wide receiver over there on the other side. It was a great throw and all like that. Great play design on top of it there. But specifically about the defense, yeah, the defensive line is they've got a big question to answer coming out of this game, and we don't know the status of Derek Harmon yet. Week 2, one would think that the likelihood of him missing that game is probably great as we sit here right now. We'll see, but yeah, if the defensive line lets teams run over them and stay ahead of the chains, it's going to. Thank God you have Jalen Ramsey making some of those plays in the back end, because it might come down to late games having to make 1 or 2 plays to win ball games like that. So yeah, that is a big concern, and it's an obvious one coming out of this first week is the play of this defensive line.
Yeah, that was the whole point of the offseason was to get bigger, stronger, more physical up front, to let those linebackers play free. But linebackers can't play free all the time. It's just not how the NFL works. You got to make your own plays too, and get off of blocks and be physical at the point of attack. And so there's certainly a lot more this entire front seven, this whole defense can do.
Todd Gensler writes in, can't stop the run and can't run the ball. Could be a long season. So what's more likely? Are the Steelers really that bad, or are the Jets possibly that good, or maybe it's a bit of both? Also, who bears more responsibility for the struggles against the run, the defensive line or the linebackers? It looked like Heyward, Benton, and Queen all had a tough day. I thought Queen, for the most part, played a pretty good game. I thought Peyton Wilson did not. Heyward, as we mentioned, certainly not a great game for him, and I thought Benton played a very, very poor game overall. I guess it's kind of a chicken and an egg type question. The Steelers really that bad, or the Jets possibly that good, or maybe a little bit of both? In this game specifically, I thought it was a little bit of both. But the Jets, I mean, the Steelers up front, their defensive line, that's where it started.
Yeah, I mean, the Jets, I think, will be a good running team. It's going to be their personality this year, no question. But Pittsburgh has to be better. It's not like they give up a couple, it's not like the Jets had a couple good runs and they made one decent run. I mean, they just ran at will the entire game. I mean, they ran for $183 in this game. So I don't care about how good the Jets are going to be. All I care about is Pittsburgh getting better, and they must be better.
Yeah, they must. Robbie Dugan writes in, love the show on the site. I'm delighted after the win. The offense is a much bigger concern than the defense. The defense is too talented to play like that consistently. They will get better. If Rodgers and offense can play like this every week, that's beyond expectations. Am I wrong in thinking this is a huge positive? Rodgers can play. The Steelers have hopes. Here's the thing, Robbie, that I would say in response to that: you don't want Aaron Rodgers to have to play like this week in and week out. Without a doubt, Aaron Rodgers played a significant part in this Steelers win. Nobody's going to say that at all. the better the running game can get in this and the less that they have to rely on Aaron Rodgers doing that stuff, that much better. And I don't think we can sit here right now after this game and say the defense is too talented to play like that consistently. We got to see it on tape.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see it on tape. Yeah, we tend to think that, and obviously you don't have Harmon yet and all like that. But I mean, you had a lot of your horses out there, at least through 20-something snaps of this game. Minus Derek Harmon, obviously. That I don't think we can sit here and say specifically they're too talented to play that way consistently. They've got to show it. They got to show it week 2.
Yeah, it's not like the run defense was great, and then the injuries happened, and then everyone kind of went to crap. Then it was bad from literally the first snap of the game. So health is only a mild and really non-factor in this game. I had a thought and I lost it here.
I'll ask you this: Did the Jets snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, or did the Steelers snatch victory from the jaws of defeat in this one?
The
or was
latter.
it a little bit of the both?
No, the latter. I mean, Pittsburgh made the plays in those weighty moments, and I give them a lot of credit for doing so. Despite the many corrections Pittsburgh has, they made the plays.
Did you think the Steelers were going to lose this game before that touchdown, before the Gainwell play?
I don't know. My thoughts in game. I'm always pessimistic and scared of my own shadow during these games. I did feel like those final 2 drives, I was sitting there saying, okay, Pittsburgh's down 1. They just have to get in range for Boswell. They can get 30 yards or whatever it needs to be to get Boswell in the range. So I had some confidence later in the fourth quarter before Pittsburgh officially went ahead. Kind of third quarter, I was sitting there saying, oh, the Jets are going to grind this clock out and this thing's going to be cooked. I think with about 5 minutes left, that next to last drive for the Jets, that's basically their 4-minute offense. I was really worried at that point. Could Pittsburgh get a stop and get off the field, or will the Jets just chew all this clock and basically run it out like so many teams did at Pittsburgh late last season? The thought I had earlier was, I agree, and that was my first thought, my first takeaway from this game is this model is not sustainable. But can we look at the other side of this and say, if Pittsburgh needs Aaron Rodgers to play in moments and play great football, he can. And that is encouraging, because Pittsburgh has not had that since Ben, and probably not even in Ben's last year, but probably maybe 2018, 2020 were the last times you felt like your quarterback could really rally and lead your team to victory. So if the other things can get worked out, if you get into a playoff game where you're facing a top-tier quarterback, you feel like you finally have a quarterback who is not quite as good as the Josh Allens of the world, obviously, but you have a quarterback that can kind of go toe-for-toe with a good quarterback in one game to get you one win.
Here's the thing. If you are within one possession, or maybe even 2, if one of them's a field goal or something like that, as long as you're not two full touchdowns away, can Aaron Rodgers get you a win? Do you have enough trust in him to get you out of the stadium with a win? And the answer is yes. Now, here's the thing. I said before the season, I kind of envisioned this defense being good enough, and the offense, in other words, there'll be in a lot of games that they'll be able to win in some of these kind of better looking rock fights. Well, this ended up being a hell of a more than a rock fight, obviously, right? So the defense has just got to if the defense gets better and this team can run the football, they're going to be in a lot more games and win more games moving forward.
Agreed, they need to have that. But it's nice to know that if you need him for a game, or in a game where your run game is playing well, but it's just one of those games against a really high-powered opponent, the Bengals, the Ravens, the Bills, whoever, you have a quarterback now that can do things to win you a game, whereas the last 5 years you basically said we can't win any game where a quarterback has to make all the plays.
Right.
So I take a little bit of comfort in that, but obviously the other things have to get worked out too.
All right, so enjoy the win, escape from New York. That's officially kind of what we'll call this one, and we'll look at the All-22. We'll talk more about that on Wednesday, start getting ready for the Steelers' home opener against the Seahawks, and go forward from there. So within all that, you can follow me on Twitter/X at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and want to donate, SteelersDepot.com, hit the donate button. Also, if you like an ad-free version of the site, SteelersDepot.com, hit the ad-free button, pay $25, get a username and a password, log in to get a ad-free version of the site. So until Wednesday, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.